Good evening, and thank you for joining us for the news at 10. I'm Rebecca Burnett. This morning, Democrat Joe Biden defeated President Donald Trump in the race for the United States presidency. Washington correspondent Kelly Meyer joins us from Wilmington, Delaware, where the president-elect addressed a crowd of supporters this evening. Kelly? All right, thank you, Kelly. Such great reporting as always. She's had such a long day out there. So now over to Michael Del Santra with a peek at this evening's weather forecast. Michael? And meanwhile, the president's supporters and the president-elect supporters have spent the day protesting and celebrating across the country. WDVM's Katie Reed joins us live from the newsroom to share some of their reactions. Katie? Thank you, Katie. Now over to West Virginia, where we have some developing news. A motel in Martinsburg, West Virginia is severely damaged after a fire started in one of the rooms. The fire marshal did not return our calls for comment immediately, but our photographer found damage throughout the room, leaving nothing unscathed and even a hole in the ceiling. There weren't any signs of cleanup, although a fire extinguisher was on scene. We'll update you if the fire department determines the cause. And homicides in D.C. are up 18% from last year, even though overall crime is down 19%. The district has investigated 26 more homicides this year, totaling 170 homicides to date. Homicides with a gun have gone up, while crimes without guns have gone down. The last time there were over 160 homicides in a single year was in the district was in 2008. Thousands gathered outside of the Philadelphia Convention Center today, where they have over the past couple of days. Ballots are still being counted inside, while the atmosphere outside is much more decided after Joe Biden took Pennsylvania and took the White House. And dozens of Trump supporters gathered in downtown Atlanta shortly after Democrat Joe Biden was declared the winner of the presidential election to protest the announcement. Holding signs and chanting "Stop the Steal," the demonstrators pledged their support to President Donald Trump and railed against what they called a stolen election. The baseless and erroneous claim has been fueled in the days since the election by the president himself, who continues to state the election was rigged and is moving forward with a series of legal battles. Similar protests are occurring in cities across the country, like you just saw, from Detroit to Philadelphia to Phoenix. President Donald Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, said lawsuits will be brought on Monday. And Giuliani has repeated allegations of widespread fraud and misconduct in the Pennsylvania vote count, so far without evidence. So how can those who didn't support President-elect Joe Biden cope with the loss? Licensed clinical social worker Sarah Hart says to stay off of social media, for one. Although Biden was named president-elect this morning, recounts could drag the process out even longer. So-called doom scrolling and checking the news constantly can negatively impact mental health. And when talking politics with your friends and family, staying civil is key. Good tips as we head into Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners with our families. Remember to take care of yourself first. Exercise, sleep, and eat well. Now, the Associated Press has not declared a winner in Georgia's presidential contest because the race is too early to call. So far, Biden is leading by only 7,000 or 8,000 votes, and in a state as red as Georgia, that's a big feat for Democrats. Stacey Abrams, the former Georgia House Minority Leader who lost a razor-thin race for governor in 2018, says she's not surprised. Her organization, Fair Fight, helped register 800,000 new voters in Georgia. Still to come tonight on WDVM News at 10, meteorologist Michael Del Santra just dropped a bomb and said that it's actually gotten warmer since we saw him last at 6. What's going on, Michael?
Just looking at a couple of model updates. And
most news organizations across the country, including ours, follow the Associated Press's lead in calling election results. The nonpartisan AP waits for absolute certainty before it determines race winners. So how do they do it, and how did Joe Biden clinch the election while votes are still being counted? The AP's Washington bureau chief explained the organization determined Trump wouldn't be able to catch up. Biden held a 0.51 percentage point margin over Trump late this morning, and under Pennsylvania law, a recount is automatic when the margin between two candidates in a statewide race is less than 0.5 percentage points. Now, Michael, is there like an end-all be-all in the weather world? Like, we look to the AP. Is there a place that tons of meteorologists across the country might look to when it comes to, like, I don't know, hurricanes or national weather news?
yeah, I mean, everything's a little bit more specific. I mean, there's
That was Kamala Harris congratulating her running mate, Joe Biden, for winning the presidential election this morning. Harris makes history as the country's first black vice president, the first Asian American vice president, and first female vice president. And WDVM's Cheyenne Corn spoke to members of Alpha Kappa Alpha ahead of the election. That's Kamala Harris's sorority, and they may have played a key role in mobilizing black women to the polls this fall. And the Fairfax County School Board has voted to make Inauguration Day a holiday for Fairfax County Public School students and employees this year. Teachers and students will have an extra holiday off in the summer in observation of Juneteenth as well. That's the day that recognizes the emancipation of America's enslaved. This comes after Governor Ralph Northam's announcement that state employees will have Juneteenth off. And according to Forbes, the U.S. is home to roughly 2.5 million black-owned businesses. WDVM's Christy Matino visited a black-owned restaurant in Alexandria today to see what's in store for Northern Virginia's Black Restaurant Week. And an African-American artist is displaying some of his contemporary artwork at the Just Lookin' Art Gallery in downtown Hagerstown. Dan Tilgman's work, which depicts everyday scenes of what he calls African Americana, will be on display until December 6th. He told us that much of his work is inspired by old black and white photos of African Americans. One of his paintings was even featured in the 2015 film Creed, starring Michael B. Jordan. A growing number of studies suggest many COVID-19 survivors experience some type of heart damage, even if they don't have underlying heart disease and weren't sick enough to be hospitalized. According to the American Heart Association, nearly 1/4 of those hospitalized with COVID-19 have been diagnosed with cardiovascular complications. This latest twist has healthcare experts worried about a potential increase in heart failure. And Frederick County is rolling out additional grant programs for business owners affected by the pandemic. County Executive Jan Gardner announced 2 new grant programs yesterday. The first will provide funding for child care providers to purchase cleaning and disinfection supplies, and the other, a $2 million grant program, will serve food service businesses like caterers, food trucks, and larger operations like restaurants and wineries. Now, some students headed back to the classroom this week and might be bringing the coronavirus with them when they return home. Our Abigail Hillerick spoke with the American Cleaning Institute and has some tips and practices every household can follow to help stop the spread of the virus and keep your family safe. A 7th grader in New York will have her artwork featured in a book that's set to release on November 10th. Her application was a result of pandemic boredom, and as News 10 ABC's Cassie Hudson explains, the book will soon be entertaining others out of their boredom too. So I just discovered that Michael Del Santro can moonwalk. Can you do it again for us?
I grew up in New Jersey in the 80s. So I had the glove with the glitter, I had the socks, and I learned how to moonwalk at a very young age. But I figured it'd be a great way to present the weather all the way through for you. So there you go. I hope I made your night.
You really did. We learned a lot about each other in the commercial breaks, and I'm just, my day is made. My day is made. So make my week. Well, it doesn't look like you're really going to. There's a little bit of rain there.
I'll stand in front of it and we'll make it go away.
That's good. That sounds good. Tell us what's to come.
Well, I know you like nice weather, so we'll at least have several